Hello traders, overall a good day, but I didn't do well on Forex, so let's just do a quick run through what happened. And I was came into the early part of the session, of the Euro session, and took a long in the Euro Yen. Why do they always give me dark colour pens? And so what did I do? Bought this little dip here, and then it just rolled over. Bought another area here, so decent buy signal, bought a pullback, took it off at this resistance level, and then reloaded just around the 200 mark, and then slightly above 200, and then got stopped out. So that's that. So I ended up with a small loss of minus £29. In the meantime, I was kept shorting the indices. Took this one in the room. And for ages, it looked as if it was going to perk up, didn't it? And so I think I took it short here. It looks as if it's going to perk up, and then we get these waves down. When we try to get back to the 200, closed underneath the gap. The gap was one of the main criteria for me shorting this, and then we get these legs down. So I ended up with reasonable profit out of that, but did better on the. I got 100 quid out of that, but did much better on the Dow. I prefer to trade the Dow. I'm sort of much more tuning into the markets by the time this opens. So big move down. There's the range bar, pokes up and immediately gets slammed down. But this area here, this 560 was the best short. Came into I think 580, 590, and then so it's basically a 15-minute extension set up. So there was an argument for actually shorting it right at the highs. Otherwise, you've got a sell signal here at 25 past 3, so about 50, 55 minutes after the market was opened, and then you get the main impulse run at 20 past 4 UK time. I did take some out of the pound actually. It just occurred to me that if the markets are going to be this rough, then they're not going to start flogging this one off, because it's the UK that's got the inflation. So this was a nice little move. Again, look how significant the gap fill was. 120 was the area that we looked at. That did well. And then we got this push up here. So I'd shorted this in the room, or just after the room. I can't remember which now. Little bounce. So some nice ways to the downside. And then once all this was over, and we closed above the previous day's close, then we got some recovery. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, let's look at the 60-minute charts. As we are heading for the middle of the week. Well, this is the middle of the week effectively, because as far as the US is concerned, it's the middle of the week because they're not here on Friday. It's Veterans Day, so they're off. And so last week's sell-off on the rate decision. Now I need a blue pen. Last week's sell-off on the rate decision. Pullback gets shorted on Friday. We open up here on Sunday, and then we get swooped up into this 50% here. That's the 50% there. Drop back down into support, and then back into the congestion up there. What do I think is going to happen now? I think any further retests of 180, 200 could see this leg down again. Okay, so ideally I would be very interested to see if we can get back to 250. I talked about this in the room on Monday, didn't I? I would be it'd be great if we came into this and saw 250 overnight, and then we got a sell signal into the Euro session to short this back down again. Do I think this is capable of coming up from here? Let's get the daily. Excuse me. Yeah, it is actually. We're sitting on these, what's that, the 50 and the 100-day moving average here, with the 20 and 200 underneath it. So we're right in the mean, we're right back to an average level now. If ever there was a pinnacle sort of point in this particular chart, it's here. So I think whichever way we break tomorrow could give us the range for the rest of the week. So push into that resistance could let this roll over. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then rotate back to the original trend. Whereas on the DAX, we got a much more interesting situation here. I talked about how we got these sell signals last week. Friday and Monday was a sell signal, so hardly surprising that we got that push down now. Every time we talked about this on Monday, didn't we? Every time we drift lower, so far we got bought. Drift lower, we got bought. Drift lower, bought. Drift lower, and we run. Okay, so I would still be shorting the highs to at least this 50-day, 20-day moving average. So miles away even from the 20. That will put us at 13,200 roughly. So if we get the opportunity to short around about the 400 mark, let's see if we get a couple hundred pips out of that tomorrow. Otherwise, let's have a look at what we've got. Let's have a look at the Euro Yen, since I spent so much time looking at the Euro Yen. Yeah, so that's just, although it's another lower close, isn't it? We're at the bottom of this channel. It does look as if we want to come and see 131, and of course, ultimately, a dip down to 130 looks as if that's on the cards now. In fact, I think we're going to take that off. It's not really helping matters. Let's see if we can drop down to that fib support at 12,992. Euro. We get a lot of sort of little moves, don't we? Few big days here, drifts. A few bigger bars here into July and into August. And we get, so this is potentially what we've got in the DAX. Big sell signal after the climb. Little drifting, a deeper drop, and ultimately a push higher. I think that's what we might get in the DAX. I think we might spend the next week or so just drifting lower, and then once we get into the second half of November, I think then we might push up again. So look for a similar pattern in the DAX. In the meantime, for this one, I will just keep shorting, because I think we need to find our feet down here at least 115. Oil is now looking a bit heavy with events tomorrow. So we've broken out of this, but any pullback back into this area here, which will be a full retest of that breakup area, might see that getting towards 60. 55 is a tough area. If this pullback gets bought, 60 to me is the mean average I always had in mind for this. Alright, so I'll be looking for highs in the DAX. I will be looking for a pullback in the oil, and the rest of the Forex is pretty much sitting range bound, so it is sort of mean average positions, no man's land. So I'll concentrate on the DAX in the morning and take a look at the Dow and the oil in the afternoon. Alright, hope that helps. Keep the questions coming, and see you in the room tomorrow.